So good morning, everyone. Today's session, you can see the objectives, right? We'll begin with the network ACL, NACL, right? And then we'll see the difference between security group and NACL, right? We'll also look at CloudWatch, CloudTrail, KMS, AWS Trusted Advisor, load balancing, auto scaling, and database services, right? So the very first topic to begin with, right? So that is NACL, Network Access Control List, right? So as you see, the very first point, it says an optional layer of security for VPC, right? So this is an optional layer of security, right? So it's a kind of firewall, right? So which another firewall you have seen so far? Security group, right? Please confirm if I'm audible.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
So,
Anish.
yeah. So far we have seen security groups, right, for the EC2, right? So you have another firewall which is optional and which is at different layer, acts as a firewall at subnet level, right? So we have seen firewall at resource level, right? At which level? EC2 level, right?
Instance level.
Correct. So here we have another optional firewall, right? At subnet level.
So security group is only at the EC2 level. I mean any
EC2 level. Yeah. So it is at EC2. Security group is at EC2 level. So maybe like for EC2 instances or for any other resources related to EC2, like you have some load balancer or something we'll be seeing, right? Or EFS you have seen, right? So security group will be dealing with the resources. It's not at the higher level, but by subnet you can understand, right? Subnet will be, for each availability zone you will have one subnet, right? So there will be one-to-one mapping, right, between subnet and availability zone. So you can understand that it is for security of the availability zone, security of the what? Subnet, right? But still it is optional. Now each subnet must be associated with the NACL. So that you see. So whether you configure it or not, right? You have one subnet, right? And should be associated with NACL. And then one NACL can be associated with multiple subnets. Now the vice versa is not true, right? So there should be, right, a NACL, right? That NACL can be associated with multiple subnets, but the vice versa is not true. What did you understand?
One subnet cannot be associated with multiple NACL.
Yes. So one subnet will not have multiple NACLs, right? So there will be a subnet can be associated with only one NACL, right? Now, a NACL contains a numbered list of allow and deny rules. Now you see here in the diagram, you see here rule number 100, right? So rule number 100 in outbound and rule number 100 in inbound. You see it says 100 SSH 172.31.1.2/32 allow, right? All traffic 000 deny. Here you see allow, deny, like that. If you see for this, here you rule, and here you see another SG, right? Where you have inbound all traffic SG, SSH, this particular IP, outbound all traffic. So you see here the two things, right? What is this? Security group, right? And that is NACL. So at the subnet layer, you just see other traffics will not be allowed if you have all these things decided, defined, written, right? The only thing that you can see is here numbers are there, and allow rule and deny rule both you are saying here, right? So you'll take a look at the differences as well, right? So for now you understand a NACL has separate inbound and outbound rules, right? And then NACLs are stateless. So if you can recall, right, once I had told that security groups are stateful, right? And we will be looking at NACL, and that time we will be seeing the difference as well, right? So if it is stateless means return traffic must be explicitly allowed by writing a explicit rule, right? So if you want return traffic, for that also you have to mention the rule, right? Then only return traffic will be allowed, but that's not the case in the security group. You see the difference, security group versus network ACL, right? Now, as you saw, it works at say like instance layer, and this one is working at subnet level, supports allow rules only, supports allow rules and deny rules. So by default, you know that in security group, everything is denied unless and until you explicitly allow it, right? So we are not mentioning any deny rule in security group, right? However, in case of network ACL, right, it is supporting allow as well as deny rules. You have to be explicit what you are trying to do. You see, this security group is stateful, right? Means return traffic is automatically allowed. You might have seen while allowing the port 22, whenever you are running some command, whatever response is there that you are getting, right? So return traffic is allowed. You don't have to mention that, okay, return traffic should be allowed on some particular port, right? So that is taken care. But in case of stateless, right, you need to be explicit, right? You see in security group what happens, we evaluate all rules before deciding whether to allow traffic. So if you can recall, right, we have multiple rules. All rules will be in the memory, right, before analyzing what needs to be allowed, right, or denied. Now, in case of NACL, it will be sequential, right? We process rules in order, starting with the lowest number rule. So you have say like rule number 10, 20, 30, 40, like that you are writing, right? Or you are writing 100, 200, 300, 400 or something like that you are writing, so that you can insert some other rule later, right? So you are keeping room for other rules. That's why you are keeping a broad gap between the two numbers. So say like you are having 100, 200, 300 like that. So 100 rule, whatever is there, the lowest number rule, that will be run first. First will be the 100 number, then 200, then 300, like that. So if it is matching the criteria, right, that's it. Again, that will not be checked, right, whether the traffic will be allowed or it will be denied. So for that, as soon as it matches, it will be in effect. It's not like everything will be evaluated and then only finally, final evaluation will happen and then it will be denied or allowed. So that is the difference. Now you look at the security group. It says applies to an instance only if someone specifies the security group when launching the instance or associate the security group with the instance later on. So while launching, you are specifying, or later on, once you have launched, now you are changing, right? I want port number 80 to be allowed for everyone, right? So like that you are mentioning it. Here what happens in NACL, right, automatically applies to all instances in the subnet that is associated with, right? Therefore it provides an additional layer of defense if the security group rules are too permissive. So this is by default there. You create once and just leave it, right? And now what happens, whenever something is created, it will be at the higher level and it will be applicable, right? And then only the lower level rules will be read, right? So this is good to be keeping that NACL, right? So security groups are essential, right? This is like something which you can configure for better security, right? Understood what is NACL? Everyone, please confirm. Hello. Please confirm if I'm
Yes, yes, sir, you are audible. Just,
okay.
yeah. It's
So want to take a look at NACL?
yes, sir. Because
Okay. So where it should be?
subnet पे होगा?
Should be in VPC?
Yeah, at VPC.
Okay. So let's go to VPC then. Let's go to AWS Management Console, everyone, please. Please confirm if everyone are there. Rahul, you're there?
Yeah, Harish, good morning. I'm here. Actually, I joined little late.
No problem, no problem. So that was the very first screen that we started with.
Actually, I was just monitoring the things, whatever you were explaining.
Yep. So you are on the console, right?
Yes. I'm just doing that logging. Just
okay. Please confirm once you are there on the console.
Sure. I'll do that.
Sure. All of you, please be there in the AWS console, right?
Yes, Harish, I reached to the console.
Okay, very good. So now there, you just look for VPC, right? Isolated Cloud Resources, right? So just go to VPC, right? And there, try to find Network ACL here in the left side under the security. Could you find?
Security. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So just click on that, right? You see both are there together under security, right? Security group as well as NACL. So just click on NACL. Okay. So I have few, right? So just click on, so there are few already. So you can just see. So this is associated with subnet number. This is associated with this. Three subnets, right? So you see this VPC, my VPC 2, 3 default. So the default one associated with all the 3 subnets, right? So with default VPC you have on NACL, which is
these are created last week, right?
not this one, these 2. The first is
These 2, yes.
correct.
That one is by default.
Yeah, correct. That's right. So you just see this. You can create a fresh one if you wish, right? And you can see that, or you can see this my VPC 2 one. Just see this the normal one. So you just see my VPC 2, right? Just look at this.
Harish, right? Can I create a fresh one first, because I didn't.
Yeah, we will create. Just take a look first, right?
Okay.
And then we'll create. See, we will take a look at whatever is there, and then we'll create one. Okay.
Okay.
So just see, you have this VPC ID, you have state available, DNS hostname disabled, routable, right? Enabled, NACL is there, right? So you see that NACL, right? So this is for VPC2, right? So for VPC2, you see here it says default VPC associated with the subnet, right? You have inbound rule, right? You see rule number 100. Now here you see asterisk, right? So this is for all deny, right? So that is the inbound one. Here there is one rule, and then for all it is denied. So this is something which I think last time we have created. Apart from that, if you just take a look, you have this default one, right? So just see this default one. Just take a look at default one. What is there in that? So you have this default, yes, VPC, 3 subnets, inbound rule. So here you see allow, deny, outbound rule, just normal as it is. Some subnet associations, here you have multiple subnets already associated, some no tag is there, right? Just you try to create one, right? So you just give some name or something, say like NACL, 5. I just say NACL 5. Just see here, you have VPC, right? VPC2, VPC3, default VPC, right? So once again, you just say like VPC2, right? Just say create. Okay. Now, you just see here NACL 5 that you created, not associated anywhere, right? Just select it. Here. My VPC2. Everyone created?
I'm just looking at you, Harish.
No, no, Harish, just
Can
following
create.
your screen. So
You can
please.
create one. Just click on create network ACL, right?
Okay.
Give some name. That's it. It will be created.
Okay.
Yeah. Please do that. Just give some name, NACL 5 or something.
And VPC will keep it empty, right?
VPC you have to choose, no? You have no choice. You just choose VPC2.
Because I
Right.
don't have a VPC. I just have one.
Just
So
choose
I'll
whatever
use-
VPC you are having. No problem.
Okay.
I have created Harish.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So now, as soon as you have created, right? So it says NACL 5 is associated with this particular VPC, right? But as we have seen, this NACL is a firewall for what? Firewall for subnet.
Subnet, yeah.
No, so it should be associated with a subnet, correct?
Yeah.
Where is that option? You see here, reasonable, right? This subnet association.
Subnet association is correct.
So if you just go there and see in the subnet association, it doesn't show anything, right? Right? No, not associated, right?
Yeah.
So you want to associate with some other subnet, right? Whatever subnet you want to associate that NACL with, what you need to do? Click on edit subnet
It's
association,
associations.
right? So if you click on edit subnet association, right, you have say like one subnet here. So associated with, right, just select it, right, and then you click on edit. Now you see what happens is, as soon as you have selected and associated that with this particular subnet, what happened here? The another VPC, right, that another NACL was there. Is that any longer associated? See, this was associated no earlier,
Yeah, not swapped.
Yes,
correct?
right.
Right or wrong?
Yeah. Yes.
So that is what we discussed. Understood? Now, what happened was one particular subnet, right, will be associated with only one NACL, right? However, one NACL can be associated with multiple subnets, right? Understood, everyone? Please do this and confirm. Just associate with a subnet. So I think Buddha will get 3 options or something to associate with. You can take C or some subnet, third subnet or something.
So no, I do have a default the NACL created,
Okay.
which was sorry one VPC only. So but then when I associate with the new NACL which I created, NACL 5. So how would I know it is not? I mean,
You will see now in the list here. You will see here. See here it says
no,
3 subnet.
correct. So I have got that there, the original one that now have 2 subnets. So that is showing.
Correct. Good. So whatever is yours, right, that you can identify. You have given some name.
Correct. NACL 5 only. So that.
Good. Click it.
Yeah.
Now you just click on subnet association.
I did that.
Now here, do you see anything?
Subnet association. Yes, I am seeing that subnet.
How many?
Yes. One, the one.
Only one, right? So now you
Yeah.
just do like this and see the name.
Okay.
What is the name?
So yeah, so it is showing me subnet 4 DABDF01.
Okay, so this that whatever 01 something is there right now.
Correct.
You just take a look here on the screen. You will have another subnet, another NACL. How many subnets it is associated with?
Correct. So the original NACL now have two subnets. Got
Correct.
associated with two subnets.
Correct. So that's what you have to understand, that earlier it was associated with 3. Now, as
Correct.
soon as you have associated one of the 3 subnets with the new NACL, one has reduced here. That means one subnet, right, has reduced, decreased here, and that got associated with another NACL. Got it?
Right. Right.
That's
Right.
right. That's right. Same thing, no? What we have done
Okay.
is with another VPC. So
Understood.
earlier it was having one subnet. So that subnet came here, got associated with this. So that is having no association. Now you had 3. So from there, 1 got associated with your new NACL and 2 is remaining there. Got it?
Yeah. Understood.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Now that you select this particular NACL, right? You see here inbound rules. Right, correct. So the inbound rules, right, you have option for edit inbound rule. See here, correct. You have option for adding rules, correct. You can give some rule number. So say like I give 100. You are having something already? No, right?
No, it is empty.
Okay, good. So just give rule number 100. Inbound this is. Yeah. Everyone please do it.
Yeah.
Now you just see how you were giving some say like port this 22 SSH. Just give that. So that comes to TCP, right?
6.
What?
6.
Internet protocol number 6. Right? Now you have port range 22. Source is any, and you are trying to allow or deny. See, 2 choices you are getting, right? So say like you are allowing.
I'll allow. Yeah.
So if you are allowing and just saving it, so you will see that there is one inbound rule added here, right? So this one is allowed, remaining are denied.
Denied.
Right? So this is the by default rule for you now, right? If you look at outbound, right? What is there? All traffic, all, right? By default, what? Denied, right? So all traffic, all denied. If you just, whatever is your default, right? You just take a look at default one. There you see, it says inbound 100, all from everywhere allowed. Do you see the difference? See the difference between the rule that we have created and the rule that was there by default, right? So what was there? The default one, whatever was there, right? Just let me name it as default something. Default NACL, right? So the default one was having all traffic, all, right? From all protocol, everything all as allowed. So this is what you have to differentiate and understand, right? The impact of it. Outbound, you see all allowed and then remaining denied. So if you look at it, you will understand that when you are trying, right, to SSH to your server, you are getting the port 22 just because there is no rule defined here. Do you think this is a rule? Everything allowed? This is not a rule, right?
Port is not defined.
Nothing is defined, right? Simply no.
Yeah.
Simply it is saying everything allowed only, means this is good for nothing, right? Is it good for anything?
No, but the traffic will still be allowed, isn't it? I mean, the access list will, if it has this rule, allow. Then,
Allow means everything allowed.
everything is allowed.
Whether
So
this rule is there or whether this NACL exists,
correct.
it is
So I
making any
basically
impact.
don't have any security. So
This is
basically
optional.
Right.
That's why my first sentence where I mentioned in the slide was that is optional. Very first thing you see, optional layer of security, right? So if you wish, you configure it or you just leave it like how it is. So inbound rule, all everything allowed, outbound rule, everything allowed. That's it. So you are not even looking at it. Simply we have been managing so far, right? Only by using security group. Correct? No? But you can understand if you are making right changes and if you are trying to regulate right this as well. So on top of that, on top of the security group, you will have one additional layer, right? And it is good, right? But you have to be you have to allow things, right? Otherwise, whatever applications or whatever thing you are trying to access, that won't work, right? Right or wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
So please, please tell me, like anybody has any doubt so far, whatever I have explained? Nakal, Rahul.
Actually, Harish, I'm not getting that subnet edit things. I just deleted the previous one and just creating new one and just checking that.
What you deleted?
NACL, I have created one NACL as you told that time, na, and associated with subnet. Okay, and for editing purpose, just I'm going inside edit things, but I'm not getting any subnet ID, subnet things.
See, here when you go to the NACL, right?
Yeah.
You will get the rules. Here you will not get. Here you have subnet association.
Subnet association, correct.
Here you click on subnet association. You don't have
Here
any
I'm
subnet.
not getting. No, it's blank.
That means your VPC is not having any subnet. Understood?
Okay.
See, if your VPC is not having any subnet, how it will come? So VPC, right? You have your own LAN, right? When you create a VPC, so if you create a subnet within that, right? So how Buddha has done, you can do that one, right?
Let me check with another VPC. I have tried with VPC.
You check default VPC. So whatever VPC that you have taken now, right, that is not having any subnet, right? You have not created any subnet. Say like my VPC 3 or something, that may not be having any subnet. I think last time we were doing, right? So that may not be having any subnet, I believe, right? So if there is no subnet, then how it will come?
You can work with other VPC.
You choose another VPC, right, Pradata? Correct.
Now,
please confirm once you are done. Try that out.
I tried with the VPC 1 Harish here now. Okay, and now I got the option. I think I have not created subnet for VPC 2. So I need to check, but I have created for VPC 1 and I checked on that and it's working fine now.
Good.
It's working.
Good, perfect. So everyone tested? Please confirm. Everyone tested? Shweta, you tested? Santosh?
Yeah, it's working.
So Harish, if I create one more NACL,
yeah,
and if I associate one more subnet from the default, then it would again get reduced to 1, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, I'm just testing that also.
Sure, please go ahead. So, and if you create one more and associate with the remaining subnet, then that will become a dash, like how it became here. That will become a dash.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
it is showing me it got reduced by 1 subnet. Yeah.
Yeah. Correct. So now and one NACL associated with 3 subnets, that is already visible to you, right?
Yeah.
So one NACL associated with multiple subnets, right? So that is kind of how you have one security group associated with multiple things, right? So that is also we are doing, right? So similar to that, right? So please test it, try more on that, and tomorrow we'll have one Q&A, right? So in that you can ask questions, right? After the mock, right? We'll have a mock test tomorrow. After that, we'll have a question answer session, right? Where whatever doubts you are having, right? Whatever questions that were parked and whatever doubts, everything I will be clearing after the mock. Okay, so you can try whatever things you can practice, and then you can come up with questions tomorrow. Okay, now the next topic is simple but important, right? What is that? So that is CloudWatch.
So what was flow logs there?
What is
What was flow logs there when we went to the NACL?
flow log?
Yeah.
I didn't see.
Can you go back?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. If you could open one of the.
NACL.
Yeah.
Select or go inside that NACL.
No, it was not NACL basically. It is.
I think you might be going into VPC, and then you might be looking into VPC flow logs, right? That is
VPC.
about the IP traffic it will be capturing, right? So that is VPC flow log. That's not, that's not this. So what you can do, that flow log will be useful, right? And you can get that logs, right, in CloudWatch also. So there, so that is so not a feature of NACL, right? Right.
Okay.
That is something for capturing the information.
Okay.
Okay. So just take a look at CloudWatch, right? You can do a number of things, right? Once you have understanding of CloudWatch and CloudTrail, right? So you can take a look at flow logs also, right? So now, what is CloudWatch? What do you think? Watch, right?
It's a type of alarm sensor.
Monitoring.
Yeah, watching means monitoring, right? So whatever money you are investing in cloud, right? According to that, right? You need value for it, correct? So what is the exact requirement of your resources, right? Right, from the cost optimization perspective, from the performance efficiency perspective, right? From the operational excellence perspective, right? So how you can, at what level you can keep your resources so that neither you are paying more nor you are running short of resources, right? And compromising on the performance of the system, right? So if you are configuring CloudWatch, right, you can fulfill the demands of the end users. At the same time, you will not be paying heavy amount for that, right? So by monitoring, you can achieve that. So it says monitors AWS cloud resources and applications running on AWS, collects and tracks metrics, collects and monitors log files, and sets alarms. So it can monitor the log files. You can set alarm there, right? And then you can work with that. So basic level of monitoring at no cost, detailed level of monitoring at additional cost, right? So from the various services, it will be collecting the information. It will be collecting the logs, right? And then, as it says, the basic level of monitoring at no cost. You might have seen for EC2 some monitoring by default. Some monitoring will be there. No cost monitoring only, right? So it will be collecting the data every 5 minutes from the EC2 instances, right? If you are looking for detailed level of monitoring, I'll show you where it is in the EC2. So if you want detailed monitoring, say like every 5 minutes is collecting the data, you want every 1 minute data should be collected, right? So you have to pay additional fee for that, right? So what happens here? It will be storing, right, the data, right, actually in the S3 only, right? Actually, like you can say like CloudWatch log, right? You can forget about how it is stored and all. So that is not, you don't have to worry about, but just understand that when you have S3, right? So how you can relate this CloudWatch with S3? How you can utilize? By default, say like it is keeping your data only for 2 weeks. That may not be sufficient for you, right? You may wish to come back after a month or 2 months and you want to do some analysis, right? What will you do? You can store it in S3, right? So you have the options for customizations. Okay. So there is a lot of features, lot of things here. So what we can do is we can take a look better for better understanding. Let's go to that console. Let's see that where it is. So do you think it's very important? So it should have a separate dashboard, right? Correct, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's look for it. Let's say some watch, and you say CloudWatch.
Yeah, CloudWatch monitor resources and applications.
Yep. So monitors resources and applications. If you go to CloudWatch, right? What do you see?
Status.
So you have few things. Did you get the same screen or different? Please tell me first.
Got the same status.
Everyone?
Same, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is a separate dashboard, right? Here. Right? So here it says you have no CloudWatch dashboard. Create a dashboard. There is another. No. Here you see dashboard. If you go to alarm, right? There you see there is no alarm. Right? If you go to say like all are like that. So now if you just go and see some metrics, you can see certain metrics. You go to some events, you can create some events. So a lot of things are there. You see a lot of things right under this, correct? So under that CloudWatch, right, it shows overview, right? Reduce alarm noise by combining multiple. So this is fine. Now here you see overview, all resources if you are looking for, right? So it says EC2, EFS, CBS, S3 uses all the services, default dashboard, view EC2 dashboard, right? View EFS dashboard. So you have S3 dashboard. So whatever services that I am having, that it is showing, right? So you can have that option here, right? So under the alarm, right? You don't see any alarm or something. So if there is any alarm, right? What it can do? It can help us, right? In getting whenever something goes beyond the threshold, maybe of the metric or metric expressions and the alarm threshold, right? So you have to specify some metric. Metric, you understand? Some kind of say like CPU utilization or some kind of memory utilization or some kind of, so some kind of data, right, which in which you are interested in, right? So that metric you have to specify. You just have to select, right? So just click on select and you see the options, right? So you have 79 metrics, 27 metrics here for EBS, 32, 4 metrics for EC2, 8 metrics for this, 4 for this. You just see, click on that EC2. You have some per instance metrics. Click on that. So you have your machine here. You see Red Hat Linux. You all can see.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you just select that, right? You see here different things. CPU credit balance, right? Status check failed, that metric. Just go down like that. You just see, let me just try to make it little bigger or something. So it's not going. So you can do that. You are getting that option. You are able to make it bigger.
No, sir, it is even worse.
No,
I'm not able to
no.
see at all. I mean, it's all.
Okay.
Yeah, we even me also, and also I'm not even getting that Red Hat Linux instance.
Is it? You don't have
For some.
that machine?
Yeah, yeah. I've created. I have turned it on
Sir,
already.
I'll tell you, just click on this, just above this all metrics graph and all, just try to select there. No, below. Come where the captions are. इधर
Yeah.
all metrics ऊपर हाँ उस वहाँ पे select करके drag करो ऊपर.
Okay.
नीचे no not there below go
This
there.
one
Yeah,
here.
drag it up.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
I
is
got it.
great, Shweta. Thanks so much. Right.
No
So
problem.
please drag like that. It was my screen. See, 3 dots are there. That was not at all visible to me.
Sorry, Haris.
Yeah.
My network dropped. I could not see the initial one. How did you went to that select metric?
Okay. So this was like we were there on where? What was that?
I'm
AWS
in
CloudWatch,
console.
right?
Yeah, I'm there.
So wait 1 second, let me go. So I was there in console, and then on the console we decided that no, it will be monitoring, and if it monitors, then there should be some alarm to alert us. So now went to alarm, and then saw create alarm option, right? So click on create alarm.
Okay.
Now there we have option to select the metric. So which metric? Now we were not able to see here. We went to EC2. Then actually I follow another method. So I don't.
Yeah, I follow this method actually, and after that I clicked it and I got my instance.
So per instance metrics you clicked.
Yeah.
Then you got it. So
Then I got all this.
yeah. So what Shweta could see is that we could not see. So here you see this. By this you can just drag it. It's a little bit changed here. So now just drag it. You see many options. All these 34 matrices are visible here, right? So CPU.
But I'm getting only
condition.
17 because maybe I have only one instance. Is that dependent on the number of instance?
Yeah, depends like how much you have used and what all options you are having, right? So based on that, right? So you have this Red Hat Linux only, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So your instance also running?
Yes.
Okay. So how many for other people?
I have not started my instance, so still in stop condition. Is it required to start the instance?
Yeah, if it is running or something, so okay.
I'm
So
also my instance is still in a stop condition, but I'm also getting this like 34 metrics.
you're also getting 34.
Yeah, correct.
I don't know, half of it exactly Buddha is getting 17, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even I'm getting 17.
Oh, okay. So which one you are not having? That I think failed. I have come. I've got multiple times, right? So because of that only, or I may be having more instances here or there.
Have you started the instance, Haris?
My instance is running. Yeah.
Maybe it's not started for me. Maybe that's the reason.
Oh, but it's running for Buddha. Okay, we'll take a look at that. Okay. So for now, you just understand the metrics, right? So you see, no, the most simple one. You see CPU utilization, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you see CPU utilization. That matrix is there. Correct, everyone. You can see that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So from here you can take a look at this, right? Otherwise, you can select the metric, you can just move from this way, right? From here you can go. Otherwise, you have another option where you simply go to EC2 instance please go to EC2 instance. I'll show you the basic monitoring that is there in place. Go to running instance. You see your instance, you select it. So here again, you need to drag. Okay. So you just see here. Everyone here, then please confirm. Then you click on monitoring. Now you can relate another aspect of it. So just click, once you are there, you have selected the instance which is running, you click on monitoring. What do you see? You have CPU utilization option.
Yes.
See that graph, you see that? See the points. Correct, no?
Correct. Yeah.
So you can add that to dashboard so that it will come to your dashboard also. So you can view logs, you can do things right on that. So for CPU utilization, for how many times it failed. For me, like it failed multiple times. So I got number of things here. So it might be running for long or something. So maybe because of that, right? So we'll take a look at that now. Here you have this option, and then so this is basic monitoring. This is not no. So what I told, every 5 minutes it's fetching the data, right, and it's doing the monitoring. So if you are looking for what CloudWatch, right? So what are the options here? You have any option for any detailed monitoring? I used to have here. I don't know. So now if it is there here, I don't see. 1 minute only it is coming. Refresh interval. Okay. For this screen refresh, it is telling like that, right? So no, not here. Okay. So I don't see option here, right? So I used to see option here. They have changed the layout here. Okay. So I used to see option. I used to go from here itself. I had option to create alarm. Got it. So I used to see option for create alarm for CloudWatch from here as well. Like what we are going through this similar thing I was getting here, create alarm and simply go to CloudWatch. Does anyone see that option here?
No,
Not there, right? So
I don't see.
Yeah, so they have removed that option here, right? Because a lot of things have changed here in the
So you will get it, Harish. What you have to do is just go to that instance. I'll
Okay.
just check.
Okay.
Go to actions. Go to actions.
Okay.
Okay. Now just drag below. Yeah. Go to this one. Monitoring. Yeah. Go to monitoring. See this CloudWatch alarms there managed.
Oh, they have added it here. That's really great. You have explored really. That is great. So that option to create alarm, they removed from there. Directly you had a button earlier, right? So that option,
have done modifications.
they are consistently doing modification, right? So some re-event is there in in November, right? So they are doing before that a lot of changes they are doing. So here you just see, so through this also you can go. Same thing it will be like how you are going choosing the metrics and then moving from here. Or if from instance perspective, you just found this option, right? So from here you can also create an alarm. It's one and the same thing. Got it? So you just take a look at create an alarm, what it is exactly that you have to understand, right? So configure the alarm to send notifications to SNS topic when it is triggered. Okay, so SNS we will be looking at simple notification service, right? Alarm action, specify the action to take when the alarm is triggered. So when the alarm is triggered, what action you want to take? You want to recover, you want the server to reboot, you want the server to be stopped, you want the server to be terminated. What exactly you are looking for? Getting it?
Yeah.
So understanding the action, the meaning of action.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, if something is wrong, if some CPU utilization, right, what we will be configuring, right? So if that CPU utilization is too much, what to do? That particular instance, right, is having some problem, right? 100%. What you are looking for now? What you want to do with this? You want to stop it? You want to reboot it? You want that has some other aspects, terminate it, you don't want it, or some kind of you just don't want any action, right? You just want the notification where you have to choose the SNS topic, which is not there for us as of now, right? So we can create SNS topic, right? And we can simply mention here that SNS topic, which will be associated with, say, like some email address or something, right? That notification will go to us, right? So like that it will happen. Just look at this threshold. So threshold, you understand the level after which it will start, it will come into action, right? So just see group samples by average type of data to sample, right? So here maximum, minimum, sample, sum, like that you can choose. Say like maximum, right? CPU utilization or disk read byte or read operations or write operations or whatever. So if you see that CPU utilization is say like more than, say, like 90%. Okay. So if the CPU utilization is greater than or equal to 90%, that time it will allow. Okay. Now one consecutive period you are saying like for 5 minutes. So for 5 minutes, right? For a period of 5 minutes, if it is more than 90%, it's not like it went to 90 and came to 30 and then you will get an alarm or something. So that will not make much sense. So here the situation is like you have one time, if it is more than 90%, right, for more than 5 minutes, then it will alert you. Or you can say 2 times if it is there, consequent. Say like one time continuously 5 minutes, another 5 minutes again, like that. So it is like that. So it says alarm name. You can simply look at some alarm name, whatever is there, right? Santosh, I have readmitted. Okay. Now, so if you look at sample metric data, right, which can be added to dashboard, right? If it is important for you, it can be added to dashboard and you can monitor that. You can make someone monitor that dashboard as well, right? So just configure, right, whatever you wish here, right? Greater than, equal to, greater than, right? Or no, whatever timings, right? And then you can say create. Okay. So just click on create. Now, where do I see it? Created CloudWatch alarm, it says. So whatever name was there, so that got created. Now here only where we were going, and through that we were going to select metrics and then create. If you simply go back, right, to CloudWatch, let's see, it should come here. We have created through this instance and we need to see whether it has, that alarm has come or not. So you see this alarm, you see it came, no?
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to emphasize. So this has come here, right, and alarm got created. Right? So just select it and whatever actions you are having, right? So edit, copy, delete, add to dashboard, all those options you are having, right? So if you can add to dashboard. So you will have a preview like this. You can just select the create new dashboard only then in that case. To create a dashboard, you can select and put some widget, customize that title and all. You can put some preview on the dashboard, right? So it's a cool feature, right? So where you can monitor the dashboards and you can get the alarms also. Now it says okay. So you see this alarm was insufficient initially. Now it says okay. So it's looking good now. Let's see here and try to understand, right? That CPU utilization thing. It's saying threshold is greater than or equal to 90 for one data point within 5 minutes, right? CPU utilization metric, instance ID there, instance name is there, thread missing, data is missing. Okay, alarm obedience, okay. Now data is there, at least something. You can see that, understand what it is, how it is, and whether it is useful to us.
Sorry,
So Harish,
to ask.
Right.
Yeah, please go ahead.
okay, thanks, Rahul. So
Yeah.
Harish, this is clear from a one server perspective and
Yeah.
how to set up the alarms and how to set up the monitoring, etc. But
Yeah.
if you have in the production environment, I mean, is there how it needs to be managed for a bulk servers? Like, do we need to get into each server to configure it, or is there a
No, you
particular
saw
script?
the list of servers, right? When we were seeing there, right? So based on the metrics, right? When we went there, so we had a number of servers also, right?
Right.
So you can just, this is just an example, right? So if you just go to alarms, right? If you just click on create alarms, right? So you have some metrics. You just, when you went to select metrics, you see EBS, EC2, EFS or something. So now say like if you are looking for EBS, right? So you have certain metrics. So based on metrics only you will do the monitoring, right? So
Okay, so in that case,
you can select, right?
yeah, so these are all the metrics, but what about the individual servers? So if I select
Here,
these metrics, it will get
instance
attributed.
name. With all instance names, with all the metrics, you can do it. Or you can search by metrics. You can say like CPU, say like utilization or something. 1 minute. You just say like utilization or something. You can just search like that, right? 1 minute. So what did it search? It has come with everything actually. It has come with all these IDs, right? I'm just looking for, I checked for utilization, right? So all network utilization, this utilization, everything, graph, the metrics it came, right? So you can choose here, CPU, credit, select CPU, credit, right? Search, right? It's going to graph metrics, graph metrics. So to graph metrics, it's going, it's just searching for that. You can maybe like mention like this, right? Whatever JSON format, right? So that is another option, right? So you can just maintain, right, kind of some JSON, right, using your CLI, right? So no need to go and click everywhere, right? So you can define, you can have bigger option, right, based on the metrics, and by selecting the asterisk option you are having, right, for everything, all the data, for all the instances, for everything. So all those things will be available here as well. It's not like you have to choose one by one, right? So you can just define, right, a set of commands. You can just go through some kind of script or you can simply choose all the metrics, and then you can mention in a JSON format, right? And then that can be run, right? That can be run by Lambda function. So you can have, right, at a particular threshold or particular situation, whatever is there in your mind. So based on that, you can customize, right? And you can use that one, right? So it will be like you can have a combination of the metrics, right? If you are looking for multiple matrices, right? So you can have some option that will be there, right, where you have to specify the rules, right? So it is like just no kind of trailer that I have shown to you, right? So you can have multiple other features, right? With this, you have option for, here you have we created for one, right? You have option for just in alarm only if you go, right? So you have create composite alarm, right? That option is hide auto scaling, this one. So it's like don't have many things, right? So you can just combine it, and then after combining, you will see this one. Can you see this, everyone? This option, can you see?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So what do you understand? Composite means one alarm will be looking at another alarm, right? And then you will have a huge monitoring, right? So if you click composite alarm, right, you have multiple systems, and then you have multiple alarms, and then you create a composite alarm, right? So what will happen? One alarm will be monitoring the another alarm, right? So that is a good feature, right? So if anything is happening in that alarm, this alarm will be triggering, the composite alarm will be raising a trigger, right? So from production perspective, right, things will be like that. And then you need to have that SNS topic as well, right? And for whatever alarms are there for the entire region, right? So this composite alarm can combine all of them, and then you have the options. You have multiple things, you can just choose from here, right? All those things, and then you can configure actions, whatever action you want, right? So this is something Buddha can help you,
Okay.
right? You getting it? So you need to from console that we need to explore the further thing, right? Beyond that is like using the CLI, using the files, using the scripts, using a lot of other things, right? So that will be the faster way of doing it actually in the production, right? So just for your understanding purpose as of now, you can just try to configure, create multiple matrices, multiple alarms, and then you just try to create some composite alarm, and then let me know. So whether it is working as per your wishes or not. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So apart from this, CloudWatch related very important thing is Trail, right? So that is CloudTrail, right? So go to CloudTrail. What do you think it may be? So they have redesigned this also. CloudTrail console they have redesigned, right? And event history feature available in new CloudTrail console they have added. Okay, so event comparison. Let's choose event history. Okay, okay. So with this, at least you understood simply that this is about what? You see?
History,
Log,
event.
audit logs. Yeah.
Audit log, right? Event history also you can see, right?
Yeah.
So CloudTrail to meet your governance, compliance, auditing needs for your AWS accounts. So very important from security perspective, right? That CloudWatch how it was giving you all the logs, right? This CloudTrail, right, leaves a trail for the all the account activity. Get started with AWS CloudTrail by creating a trail to log your AWS account activity, right? So CloudTrail will be focusing on what? Logging, right? Monitoring, right? And then keeping it, all the account related activities, right, will be taken, whatever is happening in your AWS account, right? Whether it is through console, whether it is through CLI, whether it is through API, right? Everything will be taken care, right? And the history will be available, whatever events are happening, whatever activities are happening, right? Through any of the ways, right? Through the software development environment, right? Through all these ways, it will be, it's not like if you go through console, then it will be recorded, right? So who logged in, right, to my account, right? Say like this admin user I have created, so I'm logging in every day in the morning, but I'm not logging in the evening, and I see that one day that somebody has logged in using this in the evening, right? So I will be on alert, right? Oh, somebody logged in. Who logged in? Who is having my password or something? So if anybody, any kind of security event happens, right? Any kind of issue happens, say like somebody goes and deletes my bucket. I have written certain policies and allowed somebody by mistake, or purposefully somebody deleted my buckets, right? I don't know who has deleted. How do I find out, right? This CloudTrail can help, right? So in case of any troubleshooting or any kind of security event or any kind of thing, so this is really good for doing the analysis, right? So we can also understand things very proactively, what might be happening based on certain data, certain logs, right? And of course that governance and compliance and auditing and all those things are very important, right? So here it's like you're creating a CloudTrail or something, so it's not like as soon as you create and you will be charged for it. It's not like that. It's like based on how much data you are storing in S3, right? Okay. So Shweta, you're back. Shweta, you're back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So we were just discussing that apart from whatever troubleshooting or historical data we'll be looking at, this is as it's mentioned here very well, right? So for compliance, for auditing, for all those purpose, this is critical, right?
But
So,
which is the best place to see the billing and all? Entire billing of the landscape?
like you can simply on the VPC, on the AWS console, you can just search for billing and you can go there. You have all the billing related, everything will be there, right? So now this CloudTrail, so we can say that this is centralized auditing solution, right? And then what we can summarize? Let's see. Let's look at this CloudTrail. Enables governance, compliance, and auditing for an AWS account. Account activity can be logged, monitored, and retained. Provides event history of your AWS account activity. Can be used to detect unusual activity in your AWS accounts. Right? Understood? If anybody deletes your bucket, can you find out who deleted and at what time? Right?
Yeah, you can.
So you'll have 90 days of event history there, right? So if anybody is doing it for in last 90 days, if anybody has done anything, you can simply go and see that. And then if you want it for longer, right? As CloudWatch, I was telling for 2 weeks or something. So now here you have for 90 days, and then if you want to keep it for 1 year or 2 years or something, again you have the option to download it. You can archive it, you can keep it for say like legal or some other purposes. Sometimes you need to keep it for very long. Right or wrong? Right? No. So if we can see that. Okay, just go there. Everyone, please.
Yes, sir.
CloudTrail. Just go to VPC dashboard. Sorry, I mean that AWS dashboard. VPC is too much in my mind. A lot of VPCs.
Okay.
Okay, so AWS dashboard. So there on the console, you just type trail and you will reach here in this place.
Got it.
Everyone here, right?
Yeah.
Click on create a trail. Okay. Right. So trail details. Start logging management events by creating a trail with simplified setting. This is a new console that they have given, right? So it says enter a display name for your trail management events or something, right? So I just say trail 1 events. Okay, just mention trail 1 events. So only letters, numbers, periods, underscores, and dashes are allowed. So I say trail 1 hyphen event events. You see what it says? Trail, log, bucket, and folder. AWS trail, CloudTrail logs, right? It's just creating some bucket and folder, right? In my S3 logs will be stored in AWS CloudTrail logs, right? AWS logs like this. So it will be in like this, under that logs, under my account. Though there is no cost to log these events, you incur charges for S3 bucket that we create to store your logs, right? So obviously whatever storage is there, for that you will be charged. So can you click on create trail, everyone? You see here what happened? Got created.
Yeah.
So you just see, right? Just click on that, or you just see what is there. Trail log location. Some location is there, right? SNS notification delivery, log file validation, logging, multi-region trail, yes. Apply trail to my organization, not enable, no organization, right? So tags, management events, data. Okay. So location, if you just click, right? So what do you see? Where did you reach? Just click
Where we have to click?
that cloud trail location.
Okay.
And see where you will reach. That is will be familiar to you. That look, that particular place will be, you will be familiar with that.
Right, this?
You reached here.
Yeah, bucket area, na?
Yes,
The bucket
you
area.
reached to this AWS.
Yes, Amazon S3, yeah, bucket area.
So, okay, see, I have two. One is like CloudTrail log something something, Ohio region, 29th of August. Now this is the new one. Objects can be public, Asia Pacific, Mumbai, right? So this is the one. So under this, if you go, you see AWS logs. Under that, if you go, you have the account number. Under that, CloudTrail. Under that, AP South 1, US East 1. If I say AP South 1, 2020, 10, right? Under 10, you have this JSON.gz. So JSON is very important here, right? Everyone, please confirm if you're there.
Yes.
right? So this one you can download.
You have to select.
Okay.
Download option is there, right hand side. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can select and you can download as well, right? So whenever you get a chance, you just select it, download it, right? And look at it, right? What is there inside? There's no, just unzip that, and then you will look, you will find that JSON option is there, that will be written in JSON, right? So lot of no information will be there, right, with respect to what was done at what time. Got it?
Yes.
Okay, so just explore that out, right? What is written, how it is written, and then what you can do, whatever JSON options are there, say like you have, no, you can use some no tools or a script or something, right, to display that in a proper format. So whatever output that you get, so that can be represented properly. So that will have all the information, right, related to whatever actions are happening, right? So that will be mentioned in that file. So just take a look whenever you get a chance. Okay. So for now, we will be moving to the another topic that I had missed earlier, right? So that is very important from security exam perspective, right? However, for us, like the basic understanding of it is enough, right? So you need to understand that this is key. Key, you understand, right? What is key?
Combination password like user authentication.
Yeah, you have seen some
Key like
cryptographic
yes.
keys and all, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Different.
So those cryptographic keys, right? If you want to keep somewhere, right, that keys are very valuable, right?
Yeah.
So that should not be compromised, correct? So there should be some mechanism to manage it, use it, right, and then keep it safely, right? So there will be different types of keys, cryptographic keys, right? And this KMS, right, you understand, like it's a centralized key management service, right? So we will have what? This is what? Centralized key management service, right? For doing what? For creating key and for managing also. For creating as well as for managing your keys. So two things you can do. You can create or you can manage. I'll show you the options, then you will have more clarity on that, right? So it will allow you, right? It is fully managed, you see here, right? So fully managed means what? We will be controlling access to the data, right? Whatever data is encrypted using the key, so we will be controlling the access, right, by defining the permissions, whatever permissions are there. Now KMS will enforce the permission that we will be defining. So we are responsible for defining the permission and AWS is responsible for enforcing those permissions, right? So for how long? So the better part is your key will be kept safely and for longer it will be durable, right? And again, the physical security. So fully managed means like one aspect is like physical security of it, another aspect is the durability. These two things will be well managed by AWS, right? So here what will happen, we can create, we can import, we can helps in storing keys securely. Keys can be generated in AWS KMS or imported from own key management infrastructure. So we can create there or we can import there, right? We can rotate it, we can delete it, right? So it will be, the benefit of this KMS is it will be integrated with the other AWS services. So when it is integrated, it's easy to use, right? So it will be whatever that CloudTrail we have looked at, right, just now. So whatever will be, whosoever will be using these keys, right, that will be monitored by that CloudTrail. It will be logged, right? So he will be analyzing who has accessed my key, and using my key, who has accessed the data, right? All those things will be there in the CloudTrail, right? Understanding, everyone? Please confirm.
Yes.
Right? So you won't have to pay any advance fee or something, right? For using for creating something, but right, it will be like there will be some charges for storing key, right? So the last I remember is $1 per key per month, right? $1 per key per month. That was the fee. I don't know the current one. So you can try to take a look at it, right? So let's go and see what is the latest about it, right? So let's go to that AWS and just see, look for that KMS. Just type KMS and you will see that key management service, right? So this is important service, right? And very important from security exam perspective. You have to get into detail of it, right? So now for us, very small topic. So just click on this key management system. What do you see? Easily create keys and control encryption across AWS and beyond, right? So manage service that makes it easy for you to create and manage keys and control the use of encryption across a wide range of AWS services. Secure, resilient service, right? That uses FIPS 140-2 validated hardware security modules to isolate and protect your keys. So very high standard, right? Security is there, right? So this is what they are emphasizing, how it works, what is the benefit, fully managed encryption for your application, no commitment, built-in auditing, security, compliance, reliability. So everything is there. So please go through this text one time, right, for revision purpose, right? If you just click on this create a key, then you'll see the types of key here, symmetric and asymmetric, right? So what is that symmetric? Single encryption key for both encrypting and decrypting. So whatever we are using for our EC2, is that symmetric or asymmetric?
Asymmetric.
Asymmetric, correct.
Yeah, because public and private key we are using.
Yes, yes. So a public and private key pair that can be used for encrypt, decrypt for or sign verify operations. So we are using that public and private key. We are using that public key to encrypt and private key to decrypt. Okay? Public key is used for encrypting and private key is used for decrypting. Here, same key, one single key. So it depends like on the uses, right? If it is traveling on the internet, right, and if it is going in public domain, so you should use asymmetric one. If it is internal, right, within your network, within your LAN, within your subnet, within your system, right, so symmetric is okay because it will be faster, right, because same key is easy to manage and maintain and all. So this is this will have different aspect here. So help me choose. If you see, right, you'll come to know, right, so where to choose this, where to choose that, right, like that you can select it, right? So key uses, encrypt and decrypt, sign and verify. Select encrypt and decrypt, choose like that, right? You want RSA, we are having RSA 2048 only, I think, correct?
Yeah, last time
right? Yeah,
Uti.
yeah, so that RSA key we are having, right? So you can say next, you can create aliases, you can create tags, right? You can create that key. So customer managed key means what?
Be managed by us.
Yeah, so this will be chargeable, right? So customer managed key, if you are creating that key, right, so it will be chargeable, right? So you can just skip it. Just understand that what is this customer managed key under KMS, right? So You understood? So you can create it and then you have to pay for it. No, at least $1 you have to pay as soon as you create it. So what is AWS Key Management Service? Just go and understand this, right? And how it works, what are the features, what are the options. So that much only will be enough, just some text and no, understanding of security and compliance, right? And it is a centralized key management service. So that much is more than enough for your understanding, right? Now, there is another concept which is very important. You have been seeing it time and again, right? So that is AWS Trusted Advisor. You heard about it earlier? You have not heard, but you have seen it. Okay, tell me, whenever we changed security group inbound rule, okay, say like we had option my IP and then there was option anywhere. Whenever we chose anywhere, did we get any recommendation or a warning? Security group.
Yeah, yes.
Whenever we went there and chose anywhere in place of my IP, did it warn us?
Yeah, yes.
And then just recall S3 bucket we were making public for our website hosting purpose. So whenever we made it public, did it warn us that no, your resources will become public?
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, correct.
So that particular software, that particular application which is advising us, right, time and again, right, that only is AWS Trusted Advisor, right? So you can trust that advisor that it is going to benefit you from the security perspective and also from what? Financial aspects. Got it? Even for financial things, it will be guiding you. No, if you use this, security will be compromised. If you use this, you will have you can save some money also. So from the cost optimization perspective and from the security perspective, this AWS Trusted Advisor will be guiding you. So provides real-time guidance to help us provision our resources. So real time, right? Whenever you are doing things, that time it will guide you. So provides real-time guidance to help us provision our resources in accordance with AWS best practices. Helps in optimizing our AWS infrastructure, right? Increases security and performance, reduces overall cost. So even cost can be reduced because it will be giving us recommendation for saving cost also, right? So what we understand, this is an AWS Trusted Advisor is an application, right, for providing real-time guidance, right, and for the effective utilization of our resources, right? For effective utilization of our resources, it will be giving us real-time guidance. So that is what is the understanding here, right? So basic checks, whatever basic things, all those guidance you are getting, right? But if you want more, right, so you have to upgrade your support plan. If you want much more advices, right, better advices for saving money, for saving this, that, you want more, then you have to go and choose the plan. What is our plan? Basic plan, no?
Yes.
You know your support plan? Support plan, where is that option? Here in this account section. Can you go and find out and tell me where is the support plan you are having? Here in this. Go and see in my account maybe. Here support is there, no? Here only you see support center.
Support center.
Yeah, go there and see support center. What is our plan?
Just a minute. Basic.
Basic, right?
Yeah.
So that is what. So with basic, whatever will come, that only, you know. So a lot of things are there still, but if you want much more, then you have to know go to this change, and you have to change that plan. So you'll have different other options like developer or for business, right? For enterprise, right? So different options you will be getting. Got it?
Yes.
Right? So if you change the plan, you can have better advices that no, but you have to pay for the plan only, right? Okay, so where do you find this option?
From support center.
So that advisor thing will be there in the
Okay, you can go to console. You are asking for advisor. Then
yeah,
type
yeah.
trust advisor. You'll get it.
Just type trusted,
First one.
right? And you got that option.
Advisor. Yeah.
So a separate dedicated dashboard for trusted advisor you have. Just see here cost, performance, security, fault tolerance, service limits. So from different perspective, right, you can have a benefit. Not only security and cost, performance you see, fault tolerance you see, right? So you have options, right, from various perspectives. So you just understand like whatever is the best practices that AWS is supported, AWS is recommending and supporting. So based on that, this trusted advisor is a good thing, right? And it will be guiding you from different perspectives. So if you go for this cost optimization checks, upgrade your support plan, it will ask you for, right? So you have to say upgrade, right? So it can just give you a lot of options, right? Benefits. Okay, got it. So this much is understanding of trusted advisor, right? So you want looking for any break?
Yeah, just 15 minutes. 15 minutes break.
Okay, okay. So let's take a break here. We'll come back and look at the other aspects.
So,
Okay?
so
Yeah.
Harish, a quick question. So
Yeah.
I understand that the topics we are going through today, those are some of the features in AWS, and most of it would need a detailed reading rather than doing a lot of hands-on in here. But just wanted to understand what
Yeah.
kind of questions will be coming from these areas.
Yeah. So I will be, taking a mock test tomorrow, right? So I'll be adding questions from all these topics, right? So that you will understand, right? What kind of questions are there, right? So by say like if you just take couple of questions, right? So you will understand, what they can ask from it, right? So they can ask from the aspects like from the say like from CloudWatch or CloudTrail or so what is the main purpose of it, right? Where you can utilize it, where you can save the logs, whether you can save it or not, so like that, the understanding of the concept, right? So how it is going to be useful, right? Where you can utilize it, why you should utilize it, right? And what are the features in it. So like if you just click on it and if you see that fault tolerance or service limits, auto scaling groups, so just simple interface level questions, right? Where you can, what is the purpose of it, right? And how you can utilize it. So that's it, where you can fit it, right? So these questions will be very less from something which is very well managed by AWS. So just understand that questions will be from where you have the flexibilities to do something. Questions will be more from there.